Unconventional wisdom. Sorry, conventional societal pressure. I don't know why I said wisdom. This is a topic that I feel like we haven't discussed much with my clients and with people who I speak to because beside transitioning and having a lot of pressures going on, I feel like we also have a lot of pressures coming from our loved ones, our societies, like everyone who wants good things for us, but at the same time, they scare us with their own fears. So, therefore, with one of my clients, we were discussing this how we withstand and how we go through this. And I invited her to come over and talk to me today live. And since she's doing it for the first time, she said she's nervous, and I hear you, Noor. So, welcome.
Yes,
Let's
thank you for having
get
me.
rid of the nervousness.
Yes.
Exactly. So, Noor, why don't you tell a bit about who you are and your background, and then we go into the how it is to withstand those pressures or keep going for what we want to, even if it's very challenging to do that. So that's what we want to
Mm.
talk about. So, first,
Okay.
tell us about you.
Yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Noor Shammas. I am originally Lebanese. I've been in the US for around 10 years now, and I just recently moved to Spain.
Mhm.
And I am both a life coach and also I work in the international NGO space.
Mhm. Amazing. So, Noor, let's start with the question that probably many of us who come from conventional societies who may not understand what it is like, maybe even to work for organizations that we work for, but also the path that we choose, right?
Mhm.
And how is it to, like, what kind of pressures that might be, but also how do you
Mm.
go through that? What would you say?
Yeah, I think it took me a while to understand it. And it also took me, like, I had to completely exit this,
Mm,
like this kind of like bubble to
mm,
be able to understand it. Because on the inside, I was just kind of, like following the whole system. But essentially, after I left, I was able to understand kind of, collectivist cultures in the sense of like, you don't just exist for yourself,
mm,
you exist for your community, right?
mhm,
And it's a reflection and like it kind of like manifests itself in almost everything that you do, right?
mm,
So in how you dress, in the in the places that you choose to go to, in your yeah, in your friends. So you have to be extremely kind of, cautious of your actions.
mm,
And because they, they like they don't just represent you, right?
yeah.
Um so I was kind of in the system until maybe 21 or 22, and in
Mhm,
that phase I met a bunch of people who I felt were out of the system, and
mhm,
at the beginning I was like, I was kind of scared. I was also kind of, like intimidated by this, by this, different um approach to life. And I was like, almost, like, how dare they, right? Like,
Mm,
um
yes.
so yeah, it kind of took me some time to like to explore that in a way that did feel kind of okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then at that phase, I was like, wait, wait, wait. I am in a like performance. Like this whole thing
Mm,
is, it's not fake, but it's not me either. Um,
yes. I love
so
that, Noor. I think one of the things that comes to mind as you say that is like while we appreciate certain aspects of collective society and being part of the society, right?
yeah.
And also knowing why it has a lot of amazing values that we may
Mhm.
share, but also knowing that you are inside, you are calling it a system. I love this because like systems can be a society, systems can be even educational system, right?
Mhm.
Systems can be UN or humanitarian sector. So you kind of inside it and you keep feeling like you keep following whatever the rules and customs. And then once you start questioning, do I want to follow them?
Mhm.
Why am I not even happy even though I'm following them, right? So, and then
Yeah,
you start realizing, oh my
yeah.
God, am I performing or am I genuinely standing by this? And I was recently writing about how like it can feel like disappointing either way, disappointing in the
Mhm.
sense that if you keep choosing to be true to others, to the society, then you feel like you're disappointing yourself. And then if you feel, okay, I
Mhm.
want to stand
Oh,
by my own truths, right? Then
that's
you feel like you're disappointing everyone else.
mm,
And it feels like either way, it feels very uncomfortable to start
mm,
realizing that, okay, am I performing or this is me? And then if you realize, especially that you are performing, then it feels like now it's not easy to keep going because it becomes unbearable in some way, right?
yeah, yeah. And also just to add on that, you you kind of experience the grief in the person that y- you could be.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
and then at that point, it's like, well, enough is enough. Like, um,
I need to
yeah,
do
but
something.
yeah, but yes, like you kind of do have to choose of like, am I am I going to choose to kind of like exist in my own truth, or just to say like I will just exist to like ensure that everyone else is okay. um
Yes.
and our community isn't ever truly happy, right? So this like this kind of
Yeah.
like,
Illusion, right?
yeah, of like, if I am this, if I kind of, like if I kind of um exist in this way, then but I don't think it is actually possible. So I was able to like I was able to kind of get to that point, and then I'm like, oh, this is like a, a a bad path.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I would say one thing that maybe just to give different types of pressure for people to understand, especially if they don't come from such backgrounds, is I feel like the pressures that I coach people on, but also I went through is
Mm,
some of the common ones I would say is marriage, right? I don't know, Noor, if you had this experience as well. It's like the whole society wants you to get married to the person they
mm,
choose, kind of thing, right? So
mm.
that I would say is one of the biggest, where you feel the pressure to a point that you don't even know how to talk to them anymore, right? You feel like
Mm,
I remember going back every time to my village and feeling like I need to justify why I don't want to marry, especially I don't want to marry the person they're choosing for me, right? So these are
mm,
some of the pressures. The other pressures, obviously, is doing the work that they find stable, or they find, like, I don't know, doctors and, I don't know, lawyers and police officers, right? These are the type of jobs that they believe that is stable. And another pressure is, I think, which is very subtle, but that keeps happening, is somehow they're not happy with the way you're living your life, right? It's
mm,
like, even though they may not articulate it that way, but they keep hinting on. Like, I remember some of the conversations I used to have is that even a job, right? Or is that even a thing? What is that?
mm,
Or what are you doing with your life? Or how do
mm,
you now come back to being, I don't know, mature or whatever? Because that also shows that they didn't approve until then all the things that you've done,
mm.
right? So, and there could be like million different things, obviously, but I feel some of these are very prominent that many of us can relate to. And also, as you said, Noor, about it feels like every action you take, everything, the way you think, even coming from how society essentially taught you to do things. And then once you start questioning and understanding what is it that you want, that feels very, very uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to what helped to I don't even want to say get out of it, but more have the strength, inner strength, to not be influenced so much that you just
Mm,
say, oh, it's so much easier to just agree with them instead of going my own path, right? So
mm.
what helped you in that process, Noor?
Okay. Well, I think the first thing was that I was able to kind of, I was able to kind of like exit my my kind of community, like
Mm,
altogether.
mm,
Um, and that gave me perspective.
mhm,
I also think what helped was that in the times in which I was back home, I was extremely aware,
mm,
and I kind of took notes of everything, uh,
mm,
just to be able to go back to it and like be like, okay, this is actually absurd. I'm not, like this is like bad. Um,
mm.
because if you're in the space, it's hard to have that perspective.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I have to be extremely present.
Mm,
And then after I did that and then I left, I was like, oh, this is a show, this is a blah blah blah. Okay. Um, and then I was out of that environment, and then I was like, okay, I need to be inspired in a different way.
mm,
So I chose to be friends with people who were independent thinkers,
mm,
um, and who encouraged kind of internal um, internal systems of judgment, like as opposed to like if it's if it's okay on the outside, it has to be
Yeah.
okay on the inside. Um,
Yeah.
and then after I was able to kind of, get these friends, I felt like I had like a good kind of foundation.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think step 3 was that I had to be completely financially like independent. And that was insulting to my parents and my
Mm,
community of like, how dare you even blah blah blah,
yeah. Yeah.
but if you speak to them at this point, they're like, oh my god, look at her, she's doing all this by herself. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but like it wasn't, like
Yeah.
all like this, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I just feel like, Nor, I want for people who cannot exit their
mm,
society or their places, right? I want to also mention other ways to do about it so that maybe it's helpful, right? Because I also found it helpful to get out of my society to gain perspective, but it doesn't need to be that way, right? So, one of the ways that I notice or I want people to really notice for themselves is when you start questioning inside as to, is this how life's supposed to look like, or
mm,
am I really performing, or is this really who I am? Once you start having those questions inside, and I feel like nowadays we have more of that ways of reflecting thanks to internet and other ways. But then also notice that the way that you might be going through this process is sometimes by going to other extremes. So I have coached
that's a good point.
clients, right, where I coach them on how they used to hate everything about their society, or they just felt like they needed to rebel, but they couldn't rebel. And they also couldn't really leave because of financial independence, emotional, and many others, right?
Mm,
But notice that that is also supposed to happen somehow, because I also went through, even though I was outside of my society, I used to have this feeling of, I don't want to go back, right? I don't want to go back to the
mm,
people that I don't even know how to talk to anymore. So,
mm,
this I feel like going to extremes might happen. So, expect that that is
mm.
part of the process, right? And also expect that you might have a lot of emotions around
Yeah.
them, and also being gentle with yourself and saying,
Mm,
this is probably your inner system, I don't know, imploding, exploding, and coming to the surface, and saying this is what you need to listen to, right?
yeah.
So therefore, coming and listening to what are the emotions and why you're going through that, and all of those, I feel listening will help you then start looking at, okay, am I really doing this, like Noor said, exist in this society, or am I existing for myself, or maybe I don't even want to exist, but I want to thrive. And if that is the case, then how do I want to do that, right? What are the necessary steps to get ready for it? So all of those things that you can start
Mm,
working through with yourself, with others, whoever you trust, those are the parts that many people go through.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
Noor,
yeah,
tell me.
I was just going to speak about the specific emotion of anger, in that
Mhm.
I think this could be something that you could experience, and that's extremely normal. Um, but to not allow it to be the end, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of
The starting point.
a step in the whole, yeah. So be be extremely angry, but then keep going.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. And also, I think there might be some questions around Well, how do I know it's truly me and it's the society, right? And I had those questions as well, and I coach people on this. And the way that you know, I feel, is when you no longer um you no longer need to prove, or you no longer need to justify why you are doing what you're doing or who you are, and you feel that inner
Mm,
settling, inner peace that says, okay, this seems me now, right? Before, if it is
mm,
not really truly who we are, then it will always feel like we need to, I don't know, fix something, justify, or we need to.
mm.
I know with Noor, we also talked about how we want to prove to other people. I definitely had that as well, right? Like, I better be successful now, otherwise, they will judge me and I cannot handle those judgments, right? So, those are the things, I think, part of it. But I feel once you get to the other side, so to say, where you start
Mm,
having, okay, I actually don't need to prove anything, and I also don't need to fight with them in, I mean, what like, at least this is my current experience, is
mm,
I understood that I have nothing to fight anymore, right? So I have understood where they were coming from.
mm,
I have understood where I was coming from. I
mm,
also felt proud for having done things my own way, but also knowing why it was painful for them to see that, right? And knowing
yeah,
why they said things the way they did. Like, Noor, you
yeah,
were saying about your parents saying now that, well, look at our girl who's all independent and all of this. But it wasn't a smooth journey, obviously, right? And that's why I feel like the way you know that you are coming to your truest understanding of you, you will start feeling that peace with yourself and with others.
yeah.
What would you say?
I agree. And I would like to say that at the beginning of this journey, it's you do have to fight. Like,
In the beginning, yes,
I don't
absolutely.
think it's like, I think it's okay if I choose my path or if I
Oh,
choose your
yes.
path.
That
No,
is so true.
no. Like at the beginning, it's like, I
Yeah.
don't like, it's kind of like war.
Yeah.
That's a bit intense, but like to be
Yes.
able to like go off of this kind of like I have to do this way, I have to do this way. You have to be you have to approach it with conviction
Yeah.
and with a lot of strength. Like it's not like this thing of like, sure, I'll try it and then I won't try it. Like,
Yeah.
no, no, no,
That's
no,
so
no, no.
true, Noor. I
Yeah.
think that's a great point. So I want to just talk about one particular instance. So my father wanted me to get married at 16, right? And he arranged a marriage.
Oh.
And if it wasn't for me fighting against
Mm,
it, if my mom didn't fight against it, then this Asel probably wouldn't have existed,
yeah.
right? And I just want people to know also that sometimes going off the societal pressure
Mm,
will go through wars. And
yes.
the wars that I went through were several months. I think it was about 4 or 5 months before my father was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I feel like I just need to ignore you and you do whatever you want
Mm,
because you're not my daughter anymore, because that's not the girl I raised, right? So these are the
mm,
like almost declaration of shunning from the
mm,
society, from family. And then once I went to study and you know, got to study even more and then got to working, just like Noor was saying, he was feeling proud of me. But of course, it took a long time to get him to see that, right? It
yeah.
took, I think, 10 years for him to get to see that.
Wow. Yeah.
And the reason why I want to say this is it's absolutely a very painful process. So
Yeah.
we don't want to also say like I don't know, make it uh,
Butterflies.
exactly, make it like a glorifying, like hero
Mm.
journey kind of thing.
Yeah.
I, I lately I feel like I'm so against these hero journeys where
Mm.
I did this and then look at me kind of thing. No, it was so painful. It was horrible.
Yeah.
At times it was causing my father to feel ill. And I think a lot of people also that I coach experiences where their parents have a certain illness after this and they feel like their whole existential crisis because of how their children are taking different path, right?
Yeah.
So therefore it is painful.
It is painful. It is. It is
but
painful.
but it seems like we had some, I don't know, whatever the conviction that Noor is talking about, that we kept going, right? And I think that's really what might help you in this moment, is not to give
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. It's the feeling in your heart that there has to be a different
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
Over and over, every single day, there has to be a different way. There has to be a different way.
Yes.
And then you kind of get to the point in which you are confirming to yourself, yes, there is a different way, and it's like this. Great. Like, so,
Yes, absolutely. And I
yeah,
think another strategy that I have taken that helped me a lot in this painful journey is I have seen my mom and my sister be married and have passes that I didn't like. And
yeah,
and as I look at their lives, and of course, in no way I don't want to say you shouldn't be doing it or you shouldn't be marrying.
yeah,
Please don't hear me wrong, right?
yeah.
But my sister was kidnapped when I was 7 years old, and she married the person that she didn't know. And when
Oh,
I
wow.
saw that experience, I think it gave me that much of the fear. I was even
Mm,
talking recently about how we can win the fear with another fear. So I was essentially reminding myself that if I married the way my father wanted me to marry, then I would have repeated the past that they did.
mm.
And that felt even more scary than the
Yeah,
pain to experience to go through, right? And I feel like those type of convictions are so necessary for you to say, okay, this is scary and this is scary. Which one am I choosing? And which one might give me the long
choose your
term?
fight. Yeah,
Exactly, right? And that might be what might help you.
yes.
Amazing, Noor. Any last words before we wrap up? I could talk a lot about this topic, but I know that we want to give maybe some of the things that people can reflect on for themselves, especially I'm thinking of all the young girls in who are now turning 16, 17, 18 in the societies that we're talking about, right? Where they might happen to, by magic, listen to us and say, "Oh my God, is it possible?" And then go and explore their past. What would you say in order to them?
Wow. Well, I would first say, if you're listening, I I would coach you for free because, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
this is the topic of our hearts.
yes. Yes, this is the topic. Yes, I agree. Man, this is going to sound like every other kind of, like motivational, thing that you've heard, but I would say to them that the truth that's in their hearts is the truth.
Mm,
Um, and it will take um, a lot of effort for the truth in your heart to be the truth that you experience also on the outside. Um, but it is so worth it. Uh, yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
I love it. I would say the I feel like that truth is so much stronger than the truth that everyone tells you to
Mm,
keep following, right? And you start at some point realizing, wait a minute, I kept doing this, but something inside me says, I don't want to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like some of the indications of, I don't know, I used like when I was little, I used to look at my father being so angry and having violence in the family. And then when someone else came over, he would be like the best person in the
Mhm.
village. And then you're like, oh, this doesn't sound right, right?
Yeah.
Even though as a child, I had no clue why it doesn't sound right, but
Yeah.
like your heart starts feeling like, okay, I don't think I want to be that type of person. And you start
Yeah.
noticing from other adults as to what are the things you don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
What are the things that you want to avoid as an adult? And then those are the things you start picking up. And I feel like those are the things that makes you like, okay, this is my truth currently. This is
Mm,
their truth, and start seeing differentiating one from another.
mm,
And once you start seeing that, then you know what to do. And I would say the best advice, if you will, I can give is trust that truth. And
mm.
if you do, then you start realizing what the path could be ahead, right? So thank you so much, Noor. It was an amazing conversation. I feel like I went back to
Likewise.
my youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
It's a
so
conversation
grateful.
that's very kind of close to our hearts, as we said. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy that
And
you've
thank you for the
decided to
time.
choose your own path and you can be example to so many other people.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes. Exactly.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much. Thank you everyone for listening, watching. And if you'd like to talk to Noor, there is the email that I indicated in the message as well. And if you have any questions, you let us know. Thank you so much.